Today we're talking about a crime in Arizona that's not very common. It's called aggravated criminal damage. Regular criminal damage without the aggravation is actually quite common. It's something that happens all the time. It's a misdemeanor offense. It's when somebody breaks some property that belongs to somebody else. They often will charge it as a misdemeanor depending on the value of the property. But there are certain situations that will take a misdemeanor criminal damage charge and aggravate it, meaning it becomes a lot more serious. It's called aggravated criminal damage. It becomes a felony. And today we're going to talk about the different circumstances in which a regular criminal damage or regular damage to property becomes aggravated and becomes a felony. We'll also talk about what the penalties are, again, based on the value of the damage. So let's look at the statute. It's under A.R.S. 13-1604. It defines aggravated criminal damage as intentional or reckless damage, tampering, defacing, or changing the appearance of some property. Then it lists 4 different types of properties that are protected under the statute, meaning if there's any damage or tampering or defacing or changing of the appearance of this property, it's going to be considered felony aggravated criminal damage. Let's look at what they are. The first and foremost one is what's called a place of worship. So churches, synagogues, or any other place that has a religious purpose, that the purpose is meant for worship. If people go in, if somebody goes into that property, damages that property, breaks some artifacts, damages the inside, the outside of the building, the specific place of worship is protected. And so that is going to be the item number 1. Same type of story. The next place is school or educational facilities. So any schools, any place where people are aggregating for the purpose of education, if there's any damage, tampering, if there's any graffiti or anything that's happening on that particular property, it's going to become an aggravated criminal damage charge. It's going to be a felony. Same for other places like cemeteries, anything where there's a mortuary, anything that's related to the burial or the processing of people who've passed away, passed on. Anything that's going to be damaging those, manipulating those, taking property from those areas, messing around with gravestones or any of those things, those are all protected. Those are all going to be considered, if there's any damage, any tampering, any altering of that property, it's going to be considered a felony. It's going to be considered aggravated criminal damage. And then the last one that's defined in the statutes, a little bit more broad, but agricultural property. So this would be farms, places where they're raising livestock or cultivating crops, those types of things. Also construction sites or places that are essentially are mining facilities. So places where they are melting or smelting metals and those types of things. These are all protected under the aggravated criminal damage statute. And so if anybody's pulling metals out of these facilities, if anybody's messing around with livestock or injuring animals or disrupting the crops, those are all going to be aggravated criminal damage charges. So as you can see, this type of stuff is not that common. It's a lot more common for somebody to break somebody's cell phone or bump into a bar and knock over a table and break some property there. But they are aggravated, and we do see them come through our office, so it's important you know how they work. Now, the way that the penalties are structured, a lot of it depends upon the actual damage that's caused. And so you can see here I have this chart, and a lot of it's going to depend on what does it cost to repair the damage? What does it cost to replace the property? What does it cost in terms of parts and materials and labor, or what's called abatement? So let's say, for example, that there's a place of worship and they're going to lose people coming to their church or their place of worship, and they have to go to a different place to mitigate those losses. The cost of also renting a different facility or going to a different location in order to continue their services is also going to be considered damage. So these costs can aggregate and they can add up pretty quickly. But let's look at what that means. So for places of worship, for school, and for burial sites, if the damage, the total damage that's caused is less than $1,500, those are all going to be Class 6 felonies. For the agricultural places, the construction sites, the mining facilities, if it's less than $1,500, it's going to be a Class 5 felony. If the damage is more severe, or in terms of dollar numbers, if it's over $1,500 but less than $10,000, for worship places, schools, and burial sites, they're all Class 5 felonies. And then again, for the agricultural locations, it's Class 4 felony. As a reminder, the lower the number of the felony, the more serious it is. So Class 2 is the most serious, Class 6 is the least serious. So you can see as the total value of damages, as it increases, the severity of the penalty increases. And then finally, in the last column, we have anything that's $10,000 or more in damage. It's going to be class 4 felonies for schools, places of worship, burial sites, cemeteries, mortuaries, and then class 3 felonies if the damage is over $10,000 for agricultural sites, construction sites, and mining facilities. As a quick reminder, these damages can aggregate very quickly. So again, it's cost to repair, cost to replace, cost to abate, reasonable materials, labor fees, and all of those different things. So the cost can very easily get over $10,000. One of the arguments that you can make in a criminal damage case is to argue over what the actual cost of the damage is. So you can see if you can make an argument that those damages are being inflated by the government from a $10,000 number down to a less than $1,500, you can turn it from a class 4 felony into a class 6 felony. Class 6 is the lowest level, and so you can knock it down from a middle level class 4 down to a low level class 6 just based on the calculations of the damages. So that's just one way to argue these cases, not to mention how you can run through the statute and make arguments over whether or not they are what they're claiming to be in terms of a place of worship, a burial site, and those types of things. So if you've been charged with aggravated criminal damage, it is all felonies across the board, so you're going to want to make sure that you have a good legal team who's prepared to help you through the process. Felony cases can be a little bit more complex. They can last a lot longer than a standard misdemeanor case, so you want to make sure you hire a team of people who know what they're doing. That's us. If you or somebody that you love has been charged, give us a call. We offer free case evaluations. We'll sit down with you. We'll review the facts of your case, make sure you have a good plan moving forward. We look forward to speaking with you soon. Thanks for watching.